Hello, students. Welcome back to your history class. I, Miss Jenny Shah, and we are learning the seventh chapter, Changing Cultural Traditions. Last class, we completed the concept of science and philosophical contributions by the Arabs and how the translations took place between the Greek and the Arabic languages. Today, we will learn about the artists and realism. I'm going to teach the artists and realism. Now, formal education was not the only way through which the humanists shaped the mind of their age. Art, architecture, books, these were all wonderfully effective in transmitting the humanist ideas. Artists were inspired by studying works of the past. The material, the material remains of the Roman culture were sought with as much excitement as ancient texts. 1,000 years after the fall of Rome, fragments of arts were discovered in the ruins of the ancient Rome and some other deserted cities. Their admiration for the figures of perfectly proportionate men and women sculpted so many centuries ago made Italian sculptors want to continue that tradition. In 1416, Donatello broke new grounds with his lifelike statues. Artists concerned to be accurate was helped by the work of scientists. To study bone structures, artists went to laboratories of medical schools. Andreas Vesalius, who is a Belgian and he's a professor of medicine at University of Padua, he was the first one to dissect a human body. And this was the beginning of modern physiology. The painters did not get any older works to use as a model, but they, like sculptors, painted as realistically as possible. They found that a knowledge of geometry and they found the knowledge of geometry and helped them understand the perspective, and that by changing the quality of light, their pictures acquired a three-dimensional quality. The use of oil as a medium for painting also gave a greater richness of color to paintings than before. In the colors and designs of costumes in many paintings, there is evidence of the influence of Chinese and Persian art, which was made available to them by the Mongols. So, anatomy, geometry, and physics, together with logic of what is beautiful, created a quality of realism that was introduced in the Italian art, and this continued right up till the 19th century. So they started to make sculptures, they started to make 3D drawings, they started to use oil as a medium, they started to use the concept of geometry and physics, they started to understand the anatomy of body for painting as well as sculpting. So all these gave a realistic feel to the artist and the art at that of that time. The Italian architecture in the 16th century copied many features of imperial Roman buildings. The city of Rome revived in a spectacular way in the 15th century. From 1417, the popes were politically stronger because the weakness caused by the election of two rival popes had ended. They actively encouraged the study of Rome's history now, and the ruins in the Rome were now carefully excavated by the archaeologists. This inspired a new style in architecture, which was the revival of the Roman style, and now it was called classical. Popes, wealthy merchants, and aristocrats employed architects who were familiar with classical architecture. Artists and sculptors were also to decorate buildings with paintings, sculptures, and reliefs. Some individuals were skilled. Some individuals were skilled equally as painters, sculptors, and architects. The most impressive example is Michelangelo Buonarroti's immortalized by the ceilings he painted for the Pope in the Sistine Chapel. The sculpture called the Pietà and his design of the dome of St. Peter's Church, all in Rome. Filippo Brunelleschi, the architect who designed the spectacular Duomo of Florence, had started his career as a sculptor. Another remarkable change was that from this time the artists were known individually by their name and not as a member of a group or guild as earlier. Architectural designs return to the classical styles of Rome and Greece. Public buildings, homes, and villas are designed using the Greek and Roman architectural designs. Renaissance buildings feature columns, domes, and vaulted ceilings. Brunelleschi designed the first domed building. Perspective now became more important in architecture. Filippo Brunelleschi was the architect who designed the spectacular Duomo of Florence. The Basilica di Santa Maria, also called the Duomo. Donato Bramante, Saint Peter's Basilica in the Vatican City, started in 1506 and completed in 1626. The new artist techniques that had started were fresco, that is watercolor on fresh plaster. The law of perspective came into being, study of the human anatomy, and the goal was to imitate nature. Leonardo da Vinci, he was the master of realism and perspective. I'm sorry, I forgot this slide in the middle. So Rome became the center of Renaissance art in 1500s, and there were three masters of the High Renaissance: Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Sculpture and architecture are included in the Renaissance art. They both drew from the Greek and Roman influences. The new artistic techniques: fresco, which was watercolor on fresh plaster; there was the law of perspective, study of human anatomy, and the goal was to imitate nature. This picture is from Michelangelo's sketchbook. Leonardo da Vinci, he was called the master of realism and perspective. He studied human anatomy, that is cadavers, to be as accurate as possible. He was a sculptor, a painter, an astronomer, an inventor, and a true Renaissance man. Scientist, anatomist, sculptor, painter, architecture, and a writer. He was a versatile genius who had command over botany, anatomy, mathematics, art, etc. He painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. He dreamed for the ability to fly and spent so many years observing birds in flight, and he even designed a flying machine. He used to sign his name as Leonardo da Vinci, which meant discipline of experiment. This is his painting, the Mona Lisa. This is the Last Supper. These are the anatomical drawings by Leonardo da Vinci. This is the human anatomy. The Vitruvian man. This is an embryo in the uterus. This is an image of himself. This is a fight between a dragon and a lion. This is a man riding a horse. A page from one of Da Vinci's notebook. It says that he coded his work by writing backwards. He could read it, but most other people would need a mirror to read it. Next is Michelangelo. He was a brilliant painter, sculptor, architect. Most famous work is in the Vatican City, the St. Peter's Basilica. It is a large domed building designed by Michelangelo. Also, the St. Peter's Square, which is designed by Bernini. Michelangelo is very well known for his frescoes in the Sistine Chapel, and the ceiling illustrates the story of the book Genesis. The creation of Adam, the Last Judgment, on the altar wall of the Sistine Chapel. He was also a sculptor. The Pietà, that is a marble statue of a crucified Jesus, being held by his mother Mary in St. Peter's Basilica. Michelangelo, the sculptor. This is David, which is carved from one piece of marble from 1501 to 1504. It is said to be proportionally perfect, and David is 17 feet tall. Pietà was made in 1499. The creation of Adam, which is found in the Sistine Chapel. David, 1501 in Florence. St. Petersburg Dome, 1506. Then there is Raphael, who is best known for his Madonnas. The school of Athens shows the desire to mimic the ancients. Raphael was one of the top Renaissance painters, especially known for his Madonnas, that is, the paintings of Mary, the mother of Jesus. He was a major artist in the Vatican. There are two pictures over here, Madonna del Granduca and Madonna of Meadows. The School of Athens, fresco in the Apollonistic Palace in the Vatican, thought to be Raphael's masterpiece. These are the names of the characters from which Raphael is thought to have drawn its likeness. This is Alba Madonna. This is there in the National Gallery of Art, Washington. Madonna of Foligno. It's in the Vatican Museum. This is the Holy Family. This is at Musée du Louvre, Paris. Madonna of Goldfinch. This is in the Galleria degli Uffizi, Florence. This is Ghiberti, which is the Gates of Paradise Baptistry in Florence, Italy. Then we have Donatello, who was influenced by Ghiberti, renewed the ancient Greek sculpting style of freestanding figures. Then Musacchio, who introduced the technique of perspective into art. Perspective gives the objects the appearance of distance. Albrecht Dürer, he's German, one of the greatest Northern Renaissance artists. He revolutionized woodcuts, studied in Italy on several different occasions. This is School of Athens. We've seen this before. This is a camera of those days. With this, I end today's class, children. See you all tomorrow. Stay home, stay safe, take care, keep learning. Thank you.